It all started when Jason, a young architect, moved into a new town to begin a fresh chapter in his life. He soon heard strange rumors about an old mansion on the edge of town, a place that locals barely mentioned, and when they did, it was with whispered warnings. Intrigued by the mystery surrounding the mansion, Jason decided to explore it one foggy evening, despite the locals' warnings. The mansion loomed in front of him, almost hidden behind a tangle of trees and tall, unkempt grass. The wrought iron gate creaked as he pushed it open, and as he stepped inside the grounds, Jason felt an unsettling chill. The mansion's windows were dark and hollow, but as he got closer, he thought he saw a dim light flickering inside, as if something or someone was waiting. Jason approached the heavy wooden door, which seemed to open on its own with a slow, eerie groan. He paused, considering turning back, but his curiosity got the best of him. Stepping inside, he felt the weight of the place settle around him. The door creaked shut behind him, and when he tried the handle, he realized it had locked on its own. "All right, no big deal," he muttered, trying to calm himself. "It's just an old door." But the shadows seemed to pulse, almost alive, stretching out from the dimly lit hallway that lay ahead. The silence was deafening as he walked down the hallway, the only sound coming from his own footsteps echoing off the wooden floorboards. Suddenly, he heard a faint whisper of his name. "Jason." The sound was so soft that he wondered if it was just his mind playing tricks on him, but he couldn't shake the feeling of eyes watching him from the shadows. He continued forward, and as he passed a series of closed doors, he noticed something strange. Each time he glanced back, the doors he had already passed seemed to be in different positions, some open, some closed, as if the mansion itself was shifting and changing around him. Determined not to panic, Jason reached for his phone to turn on the flashlight, but his screen was covered in strange symbols he didn't recognize. Then his phone began to glitch, the screen flickering with an image of a pale, hollow-eyed face staring directly at him. Panicking, he fumbled with the buttons, but nothing seemed to work. The face on the screen mouthed something he couldn't hear, but he recognized his name. A cold, distant laughter echoed through the hallways, sending chills down his spine. Jason quickened his pace, but every hallway seemed to loop back to the same place. Doors appeared out of nowhere, and even when he tried to retrace his steps, the layout of the house seemed to shift with each turn. His breathing grew rapid as he realized he was lost. Finally, he stumbled upon a grand, dusty room filled with portraits. Each painting depicted people from different eras, their eyes appearing almost too lifelike. As he looked closer, Jason's blood ran cold. One of the portraits looked just like him, except for the expression of terror on the face. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" he whispered, stepping back. But then he heard footsteps behind him. Turning, he saw a faint figure, cloaked in shadows, slowly advancing toward him. The figure's voice was soft but menacing, a raspy whisper that seemed to echo inside his head. "You shouldn't have come here, Jason." Heart pounding, he backed away, only to find the room stretching, the door slipping farther and farther out of reach. Desperately, he ran, but every step seemed to make the door grow farther away, as though the house was swallowing him up. He felt a hand on his shoulder, cold and unyielding, but when he turned, stumbling, he found himself at the entrance of a staircase leading down. With no other option, he landed in the basement, feeling as though he was plunging into the air grew cold. Jason could hear faint voices echoing in the dark, each whispering warnings that were impossible to understand. In the basement, he found an ancient-looking book on a pedestal. The book's pages were blank, except for a single line written in dark ink that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly glow. "Your only escape is through the one who never left." Confused and desperate, Jason turned to see a small figure standing in the corner of the room. It was a young girl, her face pale and her eyes hollow. She held an old doll and looked at him with a sorrowful expression. "Are you here to help me leave?" she asked. "What do you mean?" Jason asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. Jason took her hand, been there at all. As he looked down, noticing something strange in his hand, a small, old-fashioned doll, identical to the one the girl had been holding.